Okay, and we are live. ¿Qué tal, amigos? Stuart here, Spain Speaks. Another live update video today. We'll go through some of the news that has caught my attention today and some news that we saw in yesterday's papers as well, plus some of the comments that were left on yesterday's video we'll also have a look at. Now, plenty of activity in the chat section already. I've put a poll up there today about whether or not Spain's autonomous communities should lower taxes, because that's the main crux of the news today, taxes. And we'll have a look at a few other things as well that have gone on today. But things definitely heating up here when it comes to politics and the fight between the regions and the central government, always bubbling under the surface. Now, into the chat section. Today we've got Gino asking a question here, or a statement, let's say, in regards to people being paid with cheque and cash from their employer. Only the employer benefits as the employee gets less for retirement and the government has a shortfall. Absolutely. But as I mentioned in yesterday's video, Gino, quite common here, or at least it has been my experience. I've met lots of people over the last decades here in Spain that have this situation that they get paid part in cash, part on the payroll, obviously because their employer doesn't want those high social security contributions cutting into his profits. What else we got going on here? We've got Philip coming in as well. Dad Harry over the moon, wishing him a happy birthday the other day. Many thanks from Philip and Harry in Northumberland. Vergüenza, a great word of the day. I'll keep that in mind, Philip. But glad to see that your dad was happy that I gave him a shout out the other day for his 94th birthday. And we'll do it again next year when he hits 95. Babs coming in from Wales. Margaret Emma coming in with Raymond from Seville. Tobias coming in from Jerez. Vacation has been extended, says Tobias. COVID popped up almost immediately. Definitely contagious. Stuck inside for 5 days. Grrr, says Tobias. So sorry to hear that you've been hit by COVID down there, Tobias, and throwing a spanner into the works of your trip home. Ivan coming in from a wet and chilly London. Amanda coming in from the UK. Chris coming in from Alora. I'll get that one there correct. Alora, accent on the A, on the first A. I think Chris explained the other day that his keyboard doesn't have that option, I think, which is why it seems like Alora here, but Alora, accent on the A. Hi, Chris. Hope all is well. And a mugger coming in from the Costa Blanca, I think, down there. Where is El Campello? I think down there in Alicante is mugger. Now, the first piece of news, I'll come back to the chat section in a minute. The first piece of news is this one here, as I said, talking about taxes. And Ximo Puig, the Valencian president, is the latest autonomous community president here in Spain to announce a tax cut. And he's done it for all incomes below 60,000 euros. The Consell de Botanic, shared by the PSPV and PSOE, Compromís and Unidas Podemos, complicated government that one, has entered the fiscal race to adapt the tax burden of families to the impact of inflation, and it is going to do so with an approach that is the opposite of the one being implemented in the autonomous regions governed by the PP, such as Andalusia. This was announced Tuesday by the president, Ximo Puig, in the general policy debate of the Valencian community, where he deployed a whole battery of tax changes that will have incomes of less than 30,000 euros as the main beneficiaries, but with positive effects on all income levels except those exceeding 60,000 euros. So Mr. Puig, the latest in announcing tax cuts here in Spain. We've seen that Madrid was the first to do it, Andalusia. I think Mr. Puig might be number 3. Maybe in Galicia they also mentioned something about this as well. Aragon is also talking about it. And let's just say that the central government is not happy. As we'll see here with this piece of news, the central government, Sánchez and company, rejects tax cuts as announced by Ximo Puig. The decision of the president of the Valencian community to undertake tax cuts for incomes of less than 60,000 euros and mortgage deductions has shaken the government and the PSOE. In the government, the lowering of taxes, championed by the PP, is described as fiscal populism, and now they find that one of their main barons, or one of their own, is following the same path, and others such as Aragon and Extremadura do not close the door to doing something similar. In La Moncloa, the government here, they are trying to remain firm, and as of today, while waiting for the Treasury to present the tax package for 2023 this Thursday, they reject the tax cut. So the central government not happy that Mr. Puig has gone down the same path as we saw before as other governments here in Spain by announcing tax cuts, and of course the central government can't call it fiscal populism, which is what they're doing whenever the PP does it. But other socialist or Podemos-led governments here in Spain are also going down the same path. Interesting times. Now, I put a poll up on the channel about this, so I'll just see what the results are there quickly. 92% saying yes, governments here or autonomous communities here in Spain should lower taxes. So the community here in favour of what's going on in Spain. But as I said, the central government's not happy, and we even saw last week, I think, that they talked about re-centralising the tax system. So meaning that only Madrid or the central government controls tax. A threat, but we'll see if it goes through or not. Now, we'll put the like icon on the screen. If you haven't hit the like button, please do so. Just below the video, hit the like button. Keeps me motivated as I go through the news. Now, back into the chat section here. Let's have a look what's going on. Alan coming in from San Diego, as is Marion there, California. San Diego, California. Ken coming in from the Greater Manchester. A bit wet there today, he says. What else we got going on? Alan has adding his opinion here about what's happening in the has happened in the US. Every time the US, Kennedy, Reagan, Trump lowered taxes, tax revenues increased as did GDP. So there we go. Lower taxes, tax revenues increase. One way of looking at it. There we go. The central government here in Spain is planning on putting taxes up, not lowering them. So that's where the debate comes from at the moment, because we've got all of these autonomous communities lowering taxes, and the central government's talking about putting them up. They also said today that they're not going to lower VAT on basic food items, which is currently at 10%. The opposition party, the PP, wanted it to be brought down to 4%. Central government said no, that is not going to happen. But I think slashing income tax rates is the way to go, in my opinion, if you want to stimulate the economy. Put more money back into people's pockets and get them spending it. All right, what else we got going on here? Let's have a look. Philip coming in from La Trinidad in Malaga, still warm and sunny, no sign of rain. No sign of rain here either, unfortunately, Philip. I was expecting a bit of wet weather last week and this week, but it hasn't arrived. Jose Antonio coming in from the royal city, that is Ciudad Real, not raining. Says he can't remember a September in his life that it hasn't rained. Strange times we're going through. It either rains extremely heavily, which we saw in Murcia the other day. One gentleman, unfortunately, losing his life when basically a river just swept through his living room, and he was having a bit of a siesta there or something, and swept him 600 meters away from his home. He unfortunately died. Tarragona, we saw torrential rain, cyclone in the Canary Islands, and here in the centre, nothing, nada, de nada. Adam coming in from sunny New York City. Dirk coming in from Villajoyosa, Andalusia. And what else we got going on? Paul coming in from Rojales, travelling back to Rojales, and talking about the COVID certificates that are still needed. Flying BA, and you must update your COVID certification, but no SPTH. There we go. Thanks for that, Paul. Steve, que impresionante, he says, went to the opticians this morning to book an appointment for an eye test and new glasses. They offered me test immediately. New glasses arrive on Friday, coming in from Tarazona, Aragon. There we go. It's good service at the optician there, Steve. Good to see. And Elaine coming in from Chatham, New Jersey. Sunny and 18 degrees there. Played golf this morning, did Elaine. And Let us know what your score was, Elaine, if you don't mind. Let us know what the score was in your golf game. Now, back into the news. Third piece of news. Water wars. Pedro Sánchez has reopened Spain's water war and has cut the Tajo water transfer by 40%. In Pastrana, Guadalajara, only one banner this weekend broke the calm and peaceful atmosphere with which the village of the Princess of Eboli welcomes the traveller. No to the Tajo Segura water diversion or transfer. On the edge of the Bolarque Reservoir, Kilometre 0 of the project, the water is untouchable and the aqueduct unsustainable, as Emiliano Garcia Page said this summer. On the other side of the aqueduct, the irrigation unions remind the socialist baron of the words of Indalecio Prieto, Minister of Public Works, who promoted the project in 1933. The historic Republican leader of the PSOE maintained that those who did not support the water transfer would not be enemies of the regime, but miserable traitors to Spain. Even today, few things inflame tempers more than water. And if you're living in the Alicante, Murcia region, and you want to know where the water for those irrigation fields comes from, well, it comes from this water transfer or aqueduct that they set up, as we saw here, and we have it on here on a map. So you can see that it starts there in Guadalajara on the Tajo or the Tagus River, of course the river that finishes in Lisbon in Portugal, and it goes all the way down there through Albacete and down to Murcia and even into Almeria, and that's where a lot of those places get their water from. But in Guadalajara, as we saw, they're not happy about that, and Pedro Sánchez, of course, elections next year, cutting the water that heads to that part of Spain by 40%. Interesting. And of course, what is the government in power in Murcia? The Partido Popular. So it's all about politics, but people don't like sending water from one place to another. Water wars. Spain's north is normally very green, and there have been lots of ideas over the years to send water from the north down to the drier parts in the south, but very, very difficult politically because the people in the north do not want their water heading south, and a very hot political debate. Now we're up to 84 likes. I'll put the little like icon back on the screen there, so if you haven't hit the like button, please do so just below the video. We'll see what we get up to today. Maybe 150 if we are lucky. And I'll head back into the chat section to see what's going on here. Roland, 3 weeks in Andalusia, almost over. Love Spain. Can't wait to move here in 12 months or so. Hope all goes well with that move, Roland. We've got Stan coming in from Poland. Darren asking, what happened to my arm? And I suppose he's referring to these scratches that I have here. And I saw somebody the other day said that it was most likely my dog that scratched my arm. That's not the case. The dog is behind the scratches because she's been chewing the reticulation system that I have in the garden. So I had to go in to the garden the other day and change a few things, a few of the little drop systems. And going into the garden, scratched my arm. And that is the result there. As you can see, a few scratches on it. But they've been there for a couple of days now, so hopefully they'll clear up soon. But the dog is responsible for eating the plastic reticulation system. All right, what else we got going on here? Let's have a look. Pat coming in, went to the dentist for the first time here in Spain. Wonderful, but after the instruction, in pain, hope you're well. Hopefully you'll get through your pain there, Pat. Maybe take some type of medicine to get through the pain. Jason coming in from Wolverhampton, very cold, 10 degrees only there today. Cold in Wolverhampton, Jason, about 24 or 25 here in Madrid today, so a nice day. Jonathan coming in from Uruguay, tuning in for a change today for a live. Thank you very much, Jonathan. You sent me a picture recently. I might have that one today, or maybe on Thursday your picture will pop up, Jonathan, so stay tuned. Patrick coming in from a windy Caspe, and what's this one? Tranqui Tronquista. Greetings, he says. Greetings to you too. Hope all is well. and Eric are coming in from Terrassa there in Catalonia. All right, now the next piece of news that we'll look at here today is the old chestnut, which is the British license. Problems that some British people are going through at the moment to get their license. And according to the Mallorca Daily Bulletin, it could be tied to an agreement over Gibraltar, as British expats take to social media to vent their fury that the UK driving licenses are no longer valid in Spain. Diplomatic sources have suggested that the issue could be linked to a bigger deal which has been negotiated between Britain and Spain and includes the post-Brexit rights of British citizens living in Spain. Although not officially confirmed, it appears that the Spanish government is holding back on UK driving licenses until the new bigger deal with Britain is approved. The deal also includes the post-Brexit status of Gibraltar and its people. A news report by Spanish state news agency EFE suggested that the hold-up could be as a result of ongoing talks over Gibraltar. This would explain the present problem over driving licenses, which is not only a source of anger for expats, it is also frustrating the Foreign Office and the British Embassy in Madrid. Now, we saw last week, I think it was, that some British citizens in Spain that are having problems with their driving licenses were going to protest outside the British Embassy here in Madrid. I went to the building today because the Australian Embassy is in the same building as the British one. You've got the Canadian, the Australian, the British, and the Dutch Embassy in the same building here in Madrid. So I went there today, had some passport things that I needed to get sorted out, and I didn't see any protests going on. So maybe it was only a brief protest, but didn't see any protests by irate British people that can't drive any longer. So as I said, not sure whether that protest was only short or whether that didn't take place at all, but I thought there was some protesting going on. And nobody has decided to pitch tents outside the embassy until they get this sorted. But as we saw there, maybe it's part of a bigger deal. That's the issue. There's some negotiations going on behind the scenes between the British government and the Spanish government about places like Gibraltar. Interesting. So time will tell. Now that leads us to the word of the day. Now the word of today is a fairly simple one. Paciencia. Paciencia. Patience. Examples. Hay que tener paciencia. Puede tardar mucho tiempo en llegar. ¿Qué paciencia tengo para aguantarte? ¿Qué paciencia tengo para aguantarte? So, basically, patience. You have to be patient. It might take a long time to happen. And it's amazing the patience. It's amazing how patient I am having to put up with you, which is something that I hear on a daily basis in my normal life here. ¿Qué paciencia tengo para aguantarte? So, the word of today, patience, paciencia, and basically, for everybody who is waiting for their license to get sorted, paciencia is going to have to be the key, even though people won't like to hear it. But anyway, now we're up to 96 likes. We'll see if we can get a few more likes. Hit the like button below if you have not done so already. And we'll see if we can get over the 100 mark by the time I come back. It's going to be difficult today by the look of it, but we'll see. Now I'll go back to the poll. If you haven't voted in the poll yet, please do so. The results are 91% believe that Spain's regions should lower taxes, 9% saying no. So obviously, a huge majority there thinking that it is the best thing to lower taxes. So interesting, the feedback there. Now, what else we got going on here? Lorenzo coming in from London. Pound sterling has taken a dive against the euro and the US dollar especially. Yep, saw that. I think it started last week. I saw a video on YouTube last week when Ms. Truss, I think, and the Chancellor of the Exchequer, I think, announced some type of tax cuts or something like that, and the pound plummeted, and this week only more bad news for the pound. And speaking to a British person today who gets paid in pounds, he is not happy. But he'll be coming on in a couple of weeks' time to explain the situation, and we'll no doubt talk about that. But yeah, the British economy in bad shape if you listen to the markets, with the pound plummeting, and bad news for people here that earn money in pounds, pensioners specifically. So hopefully they'll get that sorted. What else we got going on? Jan coming in from London. Hello, Jan. Hope all is well. Tranqui's also in Castilla-La Mancha, as is Jose Antonio. Ted coming in from Bahrain. Greetings, he says. Greetings to you, Ted. Daniel coming in from Madrid. Hello, Daniel. I think, did you send me an email, Daniel, the other day? If it was you, talking about the Aussie Grand Final. If it is, let me know. I think it was you. I haven't got back to you yet, but I will. Sorry for taking so long. Tony coming in from Gran Alicante. Menú del día. Still €6 down there. Value for money, Tony. I'm sure it's coming in handy. Paying such a cheap price for a decent meal. What else we got going on? Darren coming in from Margate. When you're mentioning about governments in Spain, what do you mean? Yeah, well, Darren, the complexity of the Spanish government situation is that you've got three levels of government, whereas in the UK you've only got two. You've got your central government. Well, you've got different governments in the UK, of course, with Scotland, Wales, and England, of course. But when it comes to a national government, really, there's only one. And here in Spain, we've got a central government which is based in Madrid, which is the capital of Spain. And then there's 17 autonomous communities in a similar setup to Australia, for example, with the states, Western Australia, South Australia, Victoria, New South Wales, Queensland, Tasmania, or the United States, with the 50 or so states that they have there. Spain operates in a similar way. Central government previously for many, many years, probably even centuries, and they decided to go into this autonomous model maybe 20, 25 years ago, maybe a little bit longer, where power was decentralized and things like health and education were given to the states, let's say, or the autonomous communities as they're called here. They don't like to use the word states. They don't like to use the word federal, but it's heading down that path, and that's what I mean, Darren. So hopefully that has cleared it up for you. Nico coming in from the Delta del Ebro, another river that doesn't like to share its water, the Ebro. Elaine coming in, 41, had a 41 and won a tournament on Saturday, so obviously only 9 holes, Elaine, there. If it was a 41, not a bad score. Good news for Portugal, bad for Murcia, says Jose Antonio, because obviously more water will get to Portugal, and the Portuguese do complain about the lack of water that ends up there because of all of these changes to the river system that Spain has made. That water transfer and also various dams. So the Portuguese do get angry about that, but it could be true. More water for the Portuguese, so I'm sure they will be happy. What else we got going on here? Alan's getting back to Darren. Yeah, in the UK they have local councils, of course, but they don't have, for example, Greater Manchester's not a state, is it? It's just probably a city council. All right, what else we got going on here? John coming in, Diablo coming in from down south. Plenty of regular viewers here today, which is good to see. I'll get back to the chat section in a minute, but we'll have a look at a comment that was left on yesterday's video. We'll have a look at a few comments from now on. We're up to the 23-minute mark, so probably around 35, maybe 40 minutes today. First comment, let me have a check. Number 7 is the first comment. From Tyler. Tyler's curious to see if the digital nomad visa is convertible to a permanent residency after 5 years, like with other residency visas. Yeah, I don't think anybody really knows, Tyler, what's going on with this digital nomad visa. It's been making the press recently, which gives me the impression that it's going to be announced shortly, but the fine details have not been leaked. Except for the ones that we saw yesterday, the tax rates, and it's renewable after 2 years or something like that, up to 5. Not sure what's going to happen. Maybe after 5 years, you'll have to change to another type of visa, a more permanent residency visa, perhaps. I'm sure that's probably what's going to happen. which is my situation, of course. I'm on a permanent work visa, but I have to renew it every 5 years, even though it is a process that is apparently permanent. It all depends on whether I'm employed or not. I'm self-employed, so all I have to do is show that I'm continuously working, and I'm sure that the digital nomad visa will be similar to that. But time will tell as to exactly what the details are with the digital nomad visa, and also the startup visa. Visa, I think, also it will be announced shortly. All right, what else we got going on here? Conversations going on there. Which taxes? Not sure what Richard's asking there. Which taxes in Valencia? Income tax is going to be slashed. The autonomous part of income tax. We know the central government takes the most part, but the autonomous communities also take a part, and that's what I think they're going to slash. What else we got going on here? Business taxes. I don't think there's any talk of slashing business taxes. No, Richard, I don't think so. What else we got going on? Guillermo coming in from Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Glad we missed the hurricane. Lucky for that. I saw that there was one coming through. A friend of mine, Dave, also from Florida, was talking about that the other day, the hurricane. Luckily you missed it. Good to see. What else we got going on here? For retired pensioners who only have UK state pension, that's what I was mentioning before, may struggle with the fall in the pound, and some reports say it may go below parity with the euro before year end. Yeah, the same person that I was speaking to was happy 4 or 5 months ago because it was up, the pound against the euro, but how quickly things change. And as we see here, UK state pensioners that rely on that could be suffering. All right, good. What else is next? Well, I think we have a super chat or a super comment. Let me see if I can find it. One from PZ, or PZ, as we say in Australia and the UK. Technically, England has more than 2 in some places. Larger cities are unitary authorities, so make 2 levels, but most others have county and then parish, so have 3 levels. Yeah. Thanks for that, PZ, but it's not the same as it works here, I don't think. You don't have, maybe you do, correct me if I'm wrong, but health and education are controlled by these areas. Let me know. It happens in Australia with the state system. The federal government doesn't control health and education. It's in the hands of the states, which is also what happens, I think, in the United States, and here in Spain as well. But I'm not sure if that's the case in the United Kingdom. Let me know. Or in England. Let me know, please. That would be a difference. All right, good. What else we got going on? Let's see if I can find something else here, or I'll move on to another comment from yesterday. Let's have a look. But sorry, thanks for the super chat there. Much appreciated there. £8.99. Thank you very much for that. Greatly appreciated. Now, the second comment here, let me have a look today. This one from Jane. To think that we Brits left the EU so as to cut all the red tape and not have to enforce all those EU laws, but in Europe, and for decades, they don't anyway. For decades, the French, who have made up most of the rules, only observed the ones that suited them, and now I see that Spain does the same. Not sure exactly what rules you're referring to here, Jane, but you're right. The European Union is very bureaucratic, lots of rules and regulations. And I believe that is what some people in the United Kingdom voted for regarding Brexit. They didn't want so much red tape, but unfortunately dealing with the European Union, which is unavoidable, that red tape is still in place. And of course, there's still a lot of red tape in place now, even more red tape if you want to travel to the European Union from the United Kingdom. So, yeah. It is what it is, unfortunately, as I always say. What else we got going on here in the chat section? Let's see. Let's see if I can find something here. Remy coming in. Hi, Remy. Hope all is well. Alan coming in. Hello, Alan. Hope all is well in the UK today. Discussion going on about Liz Truss. Some people not too happy with Ms. Truss, I can see. What else we got going on? Vesky's talking about below 60k earnings. So obviously there's a discussion going on there in the chat section. Keep it up. We're up to 122 likes. I'll just put the little like icon back on the screen. If you haven't hit the like button, please do so, just below. And I'll go into another piece of news here today. Mark saying the Spain Speaks logo in the top corner should be enlarged. Well, I could probably do that right now, Mark, to tell you the truth. Let me just enlarge it. There we go. I'll just move it. There we go. So the logo is now bigger. Hope that satisfies. All right, now the next chat or comment, from yesterday. Let's have a look at this one here from Philip. Our small town on Gran Canaria looks after itself. My Canarian neighbours won't have theft or trouble. That's why I love it. Go anywhere, day or night, neighbours always speak. Kids are well behaved. Live small, live simple, be happy. So some good words of advice there from Philip. Live small, live simple, be happy. The last thing there being fundamental, I think. Try to be as happy as you can, although it gets harder and harder, I must admit. But I think this is related to the problems that we saw yesterday in Catalonia. Apparently Catalonia's had a nasty crime streak over the last week or so. 7 people, I think, I remember yesterday losing their lives, either stabbed or shot. And 7 people getting killed that way in Spain is a bit of an anomaly. Spain normally quite a safe country, but the press is really highlighting the fact at the moment that cities like Barcelona and some other cities here in Catalonia seem to be out of control when it comes to crime. Again, is it a press beat-up? I don't know, but the statistics would say that perhaps it's not, as I said, with those 7 people being shot or stabbed in the last week there. And some of the images that we see on TV, because it's a regular thing on the television here. Motorcycles, here in Spain, they park motorcycles on street corners. Apparently the other day, hundreds of motorcycles, maybe that's an exaggeration, let's say scores of motorcycles were destroyed. Other things were destroyed as well. Looting going on in Barcelona. Some guy had his charcuterie, I think that's how you pronounce it, store looted. People walking out with hams on their shoulders, the big Spanish hams, and it's terrible scenes. And this is with town parties going on. So I asked the question yesterday, what's going on in Catalonia? We had an irate Catalonian reply saying that she's sick and tired of the bad press that Catalonia gets, but the images seem to speak for themselves. And like I said, I don't know what's going on there. But if anybody's in Barcelona and has seen these problems going on, please let us know in the chat section. All right, what else is going on here? Photos for the blue screen, says Alan. Thank you very much, Alan, for reminding me. I had forgotten, but I'm going to put one up here now. Your request is my command. And we'll put this one up here from Peter, and it is Corralejo in Fuerteventura. Nice picture of the beach. I'll again get out of the way so you can enjoy the beach scene. There we go. Nice white sand beaches down there in the Canary Islands. And I imagine that's the type of weather that they get all year round down there in Fuerteventura. But thanks, Alan, for reminding me about the images. And I've got a couple more coming up as well. Let's just control the time. So I'll change this one in a minute. Another comment. Let's have a look. Saw that one from Philip. This one here from Julia. Listening to your and other mentions about the dog poop problem, I feel proud of the pet owners in Valladolid. They are very good at picking up the poop. And the city remains very clean almost all of the time. Yes, the debate has been started on dog excrement on not only footpaths here in Spain, but parks and gardens as well. In my local area, it is a serious problem. Other people saying that it is as well. Valladolid, apparently no, because obviously the dog owners there are responsible, or maybe there's not a high percentage of dogs around. But here, it is unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. No exaggeration. It's been going on for years and years and years. There are signs up warning people that they'll get a fine if they get caught, but of course there's no police. There's no plastic bags anymore. The local council here used to provide plastic bags But that was the first thing that disappeared back in 2008 with the financial crisis. The bags disappeared, so people have to buy their own, which is not a big expense, let's be honest, but people just don't want to do it. And there's dog poop, for lack of a better word, everywhere. A school just across the road, over the footpath. What do kids do in the morning? They step in it. So it is a real shame. And I said yesterday that it's a huge problem in this part of Spain. Can't talk about the rest, but where I live here on the outskirts of Madrid, we have some very irresponsible dog owners, in my opinion. But anyway, that's my bugbear for the day. Now we're up to 134 likes. We'll just put it on one more time here quickly. If you haven't hit the like button, please do so below. It's greatly appreciated. And it'll keep me motivated for the next few minutes while I go through a few more comments from yesterday. Now I'm going to change the backdrop. Let me change it here. We've got Tobias, who's in the chat section with COVID, unfortunately, Tobias. So I'll put a picture that you sent me earlier this week, I think, of Granada. And there we have some fantastic views. Again, I'll get out of the way so you can enjoy the views. And it is from the Alhambra, I think, down there in Granada. But correct me if I'm wrong, Tobias. But a nice panoramic shot. I think Tobias is a specialist when it comes to panoramic shots. And he sent me quite a few. So more will be shown from Tobias in coming days. Now I'll just go back into the poll, see if the result has changed. 85-15, so it's dropped a bit. 15% now saying that no, taxes should not be lowered, and 85% still saying that yes, Spain's autonomous governments should lower taxes. So, still a majority though, a fair majority there. All right, now we'll have a look at another comment. Let's have a look at this one here from Stephen. He loves paella, at least homemade with good quality ingredients. My in-laws make an excellent one with seafood and chicken. It can be made with just veg too. There are many types, including one with snails. Never tried. I think the authentic Valencian paella does have snails in it, I believe. Maybe not on the coast, but in the mountain areas, you might get a paella with snails. And a lot of people do like paella, one of the more popular dishes here in Spain, of course. And I read yesterday that it was something like the fourth most popular dish in the world for Google searches. And the other day, of course, it was World Paella Day. Paella, not paella. That's a different dish. Paella. 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 But, yeah, one of the more popular rice dishes here in Spain. Lots of different rice dishes, of course. Paella is just one of them. You can get arroz a banda, arroz negro, which I like. But paella, for me, yeah, it's not something that I would order at a restaurant, I don't think. I'd probably go for a fish, maybe a meat dish, but paella, perhaps not. But I have friends that absolutely love it. They order it every time they go to a restaurant, especially when we're on holidays. They'll go in the morning, order their paella, book it. And, of course, when they get to the restaurant, it comes out steaming hot. And they tuck into the paella lovers, as are many people here in Spain. Now, we'll have a look at one more comment here quickly to finish the broadcast today from Stake Up. My 12-year-old son, or 12-year-old son or daughter, not sure, child, does not like that style of music, or he says, there we go, to introduce your son to Green Day, but maybe it's different in Valencia than in Madrid. Yeah, I'm trying to introduce my son to different types of music, but of course, reggaeton is the one that comes out of the car speakers because of the radio station that we listen to in the car. And because he sits in the front seat now, he's always changing the radio. I change it back. But I haven't really found a decent station in Spain. And normally when I can plug my phone into the car and listen to Apple Music or something like that through the CarPlay. But he's a real reggae fan, as are all of his friends. But I think it's just a phase that he's going through. He does like other types of music. He does like some rock music because, of course, that's what I generally listen to. So he's got that in the back of his mind. But, of course, reggaeton is what's dominating youth musical tastes here in Spain currently. Now, I'll change the backdrop here quickly. This one here of Benidorm to finish today, and this has been sent in by Frank, and again a nice picture there of Benidorm. I'll get out of the way as well so that you can see that monstrosity of a building there, shaped like an M, which I think is one of the latest skyscrapers to open down there in Benidorm. Absolute monstrosity, as I said. And there we go, Benidorm. You either love it or you hate it. Now, we've come to an end of the live stream. I'm going to just have a look at a few more comments here. Yusuf saying that, well, that looks nice. One of the photos that we had behind me before, no doubt. What else we got going on here? City fan coming in about Barcelona. There we go. We got some direct feedback there from Barcelona. There is certain areas I don't like going to. But being from a harsh area in Manchester, I can see things have progressively worse in these barrios. So there we go. Coming from the tough streets of Manchester is Daryl there. Yeah, so I think there are some bad neighbourhoods in Barcelona that are probably better to be avoided. But again, bad neighbourhoods everywhere, let's be honest. In Madrid, there are bad neighbourhoods that you wouldn't want to set foot in, unfortunately. So try to avoid those ones. What else we got going on? Let's have a look. Future generations will look very oddly at people picking up dog excrements. Probably future generations will. Not sure. What else we got going on here? Diablo talking about Granada. Again, with the dog problems down there. It is a problem in various cities that I have seen, unfortunately. I think Zaragoza stood out, Madrid stands out, and somebody the other day said that a lot of people take their dogs downstairs late at night so that nobody sees them whether they pick it up or not. And I think that's a problem. What else we got going on here? Ivan asking, how can he send pictures for the backdrop? Very easy, Ivan. spainspeaks@gmail.com. Send it to me there, just in a JPEG. I think that's the file format that I'm using here. Just let me check. I think that is the one. Yeah, JPG. I think PNG as well will be okay, but JPG, the normal one. Just send it in, Ivan, and I'll get round to putting it up. I've got quite a few to go through, but if I go through three a day, I should get through them fairly quickly. But send them in. If you've got something like the one that I have behind me here, a Benidorm skyline or a Alhambra or a beach somewhere in Spain, as we saw down there in Corralejo, I think it was, send it in, spainspeaks@gmail.com. Now, I'm going to wrap the live stream up today. Thank you very much for your participation in the chat. Thank you very much to the person that sent me the super chat. Thank you very much for that. And thank you very much for watching. I'll be back again on Thursday, so stay tuned for that one. And I hope everybody has a fantastic rest of their Tuesday. Hasta luego. Hasta entonces.